In this example, we're asked to write the verbal expressions in symbolic form and evaluate. So let's read the directions. Write the given verbal expressions symbolically, then calculate the results. And some notes: place all negative numbers in the symbolic form in parentheses. For multiplication, you use the asterisk. For division, you're going to use the backslash bar. And for exponents, you're going to use a caret. Okay? So in all of these, you're going to type it in the box in these forms, but you can hit preview and you can make sure that the way you typed it is the way that the computer is reading it by hitting preview. So let's look at the first one. We have negative 8 minus the product of 4 and 7. Okay. So let's think about how we'll write this. So we'll write this up here. So we want to take negative 8, so negative 8 minus means start with negative 8 and then subtract. Then we have the product of 4 and 7. So the product of something means when you multiply them, so we will take 4 times 7. And I put the asterisk there because that's what you're going to use when you type it in. Okay, so this reads negative 8 minus the product of 4 and 7, and make sure you put the negative number in parentheses. Okay, and now let's write this here. Negative 8 minus 4 asterisk 7. Remember to click preview. Now calculate those results. Well, first we do multiplication, which is negative 28. Negative 8 minus 28, well, that would be negative 36 for our results. Let's look at the next one. We have negative 5 subtracted from the quotient of negative 6 and 2. Okay, so notice we have subtracted from. So think if you subtracted 4 from 10, this would not be 10, this would not be 4 minus 10, it would be 10 minus 4. So subtracted from language reverses the order of the subtraction, and remember the order of the subtraction matters. So we're going to want to start with the quotient of negative 6 and 2. So negative 6 and 2, there's our quotient. I put negative 6 in parentheses. When you click preview, it should have negative 6 in the numerator or on the outside. Okay. And we want to subtract negative 5 from this. So negative 6 and 2 minus negative 5. Okay. So now let's just look at this and see how it applies to the language. So we'd say negative 5 is being subtracted from the quotient, which means division, of negative 6 and 2, where negative 6 is the numerator and 2 is the denominator. Okay, so negative 6 divided by 2 minus negative 5, and make sure you hit preview. Now let's calculate this. First we do the division. Well, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And then negative 3 minus negative 5 is the same as negative 3 plus 5, which is 2. Let's look at the next one. 4 times the sum of negative 5 and 3. Okay. So notice it says 4 times the sum, so we need to sum negative 5 and 3 and then multiply it by 4. Okay. Now we could do this by changing our order a little bit, but this is how we're going to do this. Find the sum of negative 5 and 3, so first we'll represent that, negative 5 and 3, and this is what we want to multiply by 4. So, since if we just put a 4 out front, this wouldn't apply correctly to the order of operations, because remember, we do 4 times negative 5 first. So this is where we'd use parentheses to show that first you'll add the negative 5 plus 3, then you'll multiply by 4. Okay, so it's 4 times, parentheses, negative 5 plus 3. Okay, now let's compute this result. First, we add negative 5 plus 3. Well, that's negative 2. And 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Okay. There's some more examples in this problem on the next slide. You can rewind if you need to go back and look at those. Here we have the square of negative 3 decreased by 2. Okay. Well, if we want to take the square of negative 3, remember we would need to put negative 3 in parentheses and then square it. Okay, if we didn't have the parentheses, that would be the opposite of 3 squared, not the square of negative 3. And then decreasing by 2 means we need to take this and subtract 2. Okay, so that goes in the order that we'd expect, the way the sentence goes in the order, as opposed to the subtracted from, which reverse the order. So negative 3 in parentheses, you'll use the caret and a 2 to get the squared, and then minus 2. And you can click preview to check that that's correct. Now we'll calculate. Well, this is 2 factors of negative 3, which is positive 9, and 9 minus 2 is 7. In the next one, we have 4 less than the sum of 8 and negative 5. Okay, so this means if it's 4 less than the sum, this is saying that we need to compute the sum first, and then we're going to subtract 4. Okay. So, first let's take the sum of 8 and negative 5. 8 plus negative 5, and then we could subtract 4. Now here we have some options. Okay, in 2 examples ago, when we needed to make sure the order of operations were correct with multiplication, we put it in parentheses. So we could put this in parentheses because we did find the sum of 8 and negative 5 first, then we subtracted 4. In this case, it's not necessary, okay, but you want to be careful because sometimes it is. Because if we subtracted 4 at the end, that's how we do this from left to right anyway. So you can include those parentheses or not. I'm going to include them. 8 plus parentheses negative 5 minus 4. And now let's calculate the results. Well, the sum of 8 and negative 5 is 3. Now we will find 4 less by subtracting 4 from 3, and our result is negative 1. Now the last one, we want the sum of the product of 7 times 2 and the quotient of 40 over 5. Okay, so notice the language on this is very important, but it can be a little confusing. So since it says the sum of, that means we're going to find the sum of 2 things. The 2 things we're going to sum are the product of 7 times 2 and the quotient of 40 over 5. Okay, so we need to take these 2 things and add them together. So first let's write the product of 7 times 2. Well, that will be 7 times 2. And then we want to add that to the quotient of 40 over 5. So 40 divided by 5. Okay. So now, this would go here. Put your asterisk for multiplication. Put your backslash for division. Okay. So now to compute this, here we have multiplication, we have division, we have addition. We'll do the multiplication first from left to right. So this is 14. Just going to rewrite this as 40 divided by 5 with a division symbol. Next we do this division before the addition. So 14 plus 8. And finally 14 plus 8 is 22. So that is our result.